insurance industry is probably getting very used to the words like dodgy products, but I do need to hear and you need to hear the other side of the story as well. A.S. Narayan, Chief Distribution Officer, Bajaj Allianz Life Insurance, is with us. Joining us from the Mumbai studio, and Rahul Agarwal, CEO and founder of Optima Insurance Brokers, with me here in the Delhi studio. Gentlemen, thanks very much for being here. Narayan, I'm going to come to you first. Explain to me, I mean, highest NAV through a 10-year insurance product just defies almost all investment logics, irrespective of how the markets behave. I mean, even if you put in a large part in debt. So how are companies going to manage to deliver on some promise like that?
Manisha, actually, the way it's an algorithm-driven program actually, which ensures this. What it does is it invests in debt and equity in a proportion that even if equity goes down consistently, the debt, which is locked in and has assured coupons, would pay for it and thereby guarantee the maximum NAV. So this can be done, and this is done in not only in India, in many other countries. The promise can be delivered. The question I think that people have, and probably the regulator has and the committee is debating, is whether people who buy it understand how the product works. There is no doubt that it can be delivered. The max NAV can be delivered. There's no doubt about that.
Okay. Why did it then come under line of fire by IRDA, by anybody else analyzing the product? What was the level of discomfort with highest NAV?
See, we have to understand that, although the product talked about is highest NAV, the unspoken subtext and the cues in communication are highest return. So which means that the impression given to the buyer is that compared to similar products, you will get a higher return. Now that is one. Second, then there is a inherent conflict in the whole proposition. If you are guaranteeing something, guaranteeing a return, which means that you're taking the risk away from the return, and hence if the risk goes away, the return has to come down.
Absolutely, you'll play safer.
That's basic logic.
You have to play safer.
Now, if you reduce the risk and you reduce the return, how can it be highest?
Right.
So there is an inherent anomaly in the communication and the proposition and what the reality is.
Right. So, Narayan, how would you respond to that? The reason which Asta mentioned in her story, and Rahul is saying that as well, that there was a gap. Everybody thought, the customer at least thought, that it's going to be the highest return that the market will give. So around the market NAV, you're saying that a very complicated or not so complicated algorithm. But would you actually have to play it very safe so that, highest NAV of the product, you just make sure that it's not that high. You play it safe, and therefore overall returns go down.
See, the way the product works is if equity does very well, then you actually increase the proportion of equity. If equity does not do so well, you increase the proportion of debt. I don't think any company in its communication has said that they're guaranteeing the highest return. I think everybody has clearly said that they're guaranteeing the highest NAV. That said, I grant Rahul that there could be ambiguity because India is a very large market, and experts from insurance conveying this message to the end customer in a manner that everybody understands might be a complication. So I can agree with Rahul on the point that yes, communication, the way it is understood and the way it's meant to be understood could be two different things. Having said that, this product has its risks, has its pros and has its cons, just like any other product in the financial market. So the risk in this product is lesser than probably 100% equity product. The returns in this could be better than a 100% debt product. So I would not say that this is the product for a person who wants to take a lot of, who would not mind taking a lot of risk for maximizing the return. This is a product for somebody who is looking for some kind of guarantee, is okay with a mix of debt and equity managed, let's say, smartly through a program logic rather than the gut and feel of a fund manager. So that's what it is. So it's just an option, and the thing that we have to look at is that there are various people in this country whose level of financial literacy and understanding is different, and we need products which caters to each level. One could probably say that you should not sell this product to somebody who has an annual income of less than X or whose qualification is less than X. That makes sense to me, rather than to say let's not sell this at all.
Okay. So well, the committee is looking at it, and of course insurance companies are protesting IRDA's proposed ban on such products. Let's move this discussion a little bit different. Another thing that is coming to our notice is that you've got ULIPs which are now in a much better form, less charges, higher coverage. but then you also have traditional products where the commission is still very large, Narayan. There's an anomaly in the market that has been created even for the industry. You have more traditional products getting pushed, which aren't necessarily the best for a customer.
Right. The point is that ultimately life insurance is driven largely by distributors, and one needs to understand this, and nobody queues up to buy life insurance. So unit-linked products today are very attractive to the customer. There's no two ways about it. I mean, if you look at a customer paying for 10 years, though he should be paying for 15, 20 years, even if he pays for 10 years and there's a 10-year term, which is the minimum that the policy anyway has, from a cost perspective, it's excellent. From a return perspective, you would have seen the track record of insurance companies in managing funds. Over the last 10 years, they have not underperformed mutual funds or FIIs. They've done better. So it's an excellent product. But there is also, in any insurance product or any kind of financial product, there needs to be a fair balance between all stakeholders. When I say all stakeholders, I mean customers, distributors, and insurance company. If you look at the ULIP right now, the effort that it takes to sell a ULIP, the average ticket size which is there in India, let's say which is about 35,000 rupees on an insurance product, on a unit-linked product, and if you need to meet 10 customers and make 30 calls and then you get 3 policies, it's not worth the while of a person capable of selling a ULIP product. So that balance is a little upset right now, though the direction is right. The costs need to come down to the customer over a period of time, but I think it came down too drastically, so maybe it could have been done over a period of time. So having said that, the motivation of distributors to push ULIP is less.
Hold your thought there, Narayan. Hold your thought there, because you're talking about 3 to 5% being low, and we've got mutual funds at a zero cost right now, Rahul. So I'd like your view. I mean, yes, ULIPs in their current form are way better than what they were earlier, Rahul. But there's still a huge gap in terms of the transparency of the product, just the way they're explained to the customer. I mean, you can never compare ULIPs of 2 companies because each one has their own way of calculating returns. Why is there so much opaqueness around products which everybody claims have become so much better? I mean, if they were perfect products, you could be extremely transparent.
See, insurance worldwide, each policy carries so much legalese that it becomes very difficult for the customer to understand, and the fine print is so large and so many voluminous that you need somebody to tell you what it all means. I think the first thing we should do is we should convert all that into simple English. And maybe we can have just 10 points which say, look, this is covered, this is not covered, and maybe 10 points which say this is how the policy and your returns will work out. Now we could, at the back end, we can have all that legalese also. But to the customer, if we have this 10-point agenda that this is how this product will work, I think that is wonderful. But more importantly, one point which was raised by Narayan was the cost of distribution. Now there is no doubt that selling insurance is not easy and the cost of distribution is very high. But maybe the distributors can look at doing multiple products with the same person, and then the cost per transaction goes down for the person. If the distributor is doing only life insurance, then the cost has to be higher. So we have to see how more insurance products can be sold to the same family, to the same person, and how insurance can penetrate further into our lives. Only then this cost will get defrayed over many products and will come down. Otherwise, if a person is doing only life insurance, then there is no.
Then clearly the traditional products will get pushed. Narayan, there was a working committee meeting set up and it met also on 22nd May, looking at lots of issues within the insurance sector. Any key outcomes that you're expecting for the industry, for just the product outline per se?
I will take that up. I'll just like to respond to one point that you said, that how do you compare 2 different unit-linked products. The fact is that in unit-linked products, unlike other investment products, on an all insurance product, there are dependencies like the age of the customer, the health of the customer, based on which mortality cost gets deducted. The policy terms are different. Therefore, the cost structure is different. But having taken out the cost structure, the investment works in a manner which is very consistent and can be compared between different companies and is being compared. So I don't think that insurance products are not comparable. They're comparable. It's just that the costs are different for different policies. And secondly, we are also working, the committee is also working on something called what my friend Rahul here also referred to, is something called a minimum terms and conditions kind of document, which would be there in all policy documents, which highlights the key features very transparently in plain English, like you said. Coming to this question, yes, the committee is looking at various things that have been raised and have been debated, max NAV being one of them, return guarantee being one of them, bundling of products, and various other things, pension products. Yes, all these are being debated, discussed, and being put up. But since they are under discussion, it will not be fair of me to say anything as a conclusion right now.
All right. So that's another large debate in terms of guaranteed return on pension products. Narayan, hope to see you again for that discussion. Thanks very much for joining in.